The big clock in the kitchen showed 6:30 in the evening. Elena Martinez stood near the back door of the Blackwood mansion, holding her school bag tight against her chest. She was not supposed to be here at this time. Her mother had told her many times to stay away when the Blackwood family had guests over. But today was different. Her music teacher had kept her late at school, and she had nowhere else to go. Elena was 15 years old. She had dark brown hair that she always tied back in a simple ponytail. Her school uniform was clean but old. The hem of her skirt had been let down twice as she grew taller. Her shoes were the same ones she had worn for 2 years. They were polished and cared for, but anyone could see they were worn out. Through the kitchen doorway, Elena could see into the grand dining room. Crystal glasses sparkled under the huge chandelier. People in expensive clothes laughed and talked. The women wore jewelry that probably cost more than what her mother earned in a whole year. The men wore suits that looked like they came from fancy stores in the city. Elena's mother, Rosa Martinez, moved quietly through the room. She carried a silver tray with small appetizers on it. Rosa was 42 years old, but sometimes she looked older. Her hands were rough from years of cleaning and scrubbing. Her black uniform was pressed and neat. She had worked for the Blackwood family for 12 years. 12 long years of cooking, cleaning, and making sure everything in the big house was perfect. Rosa caught sight of Elena standing in the shadows of the kitchen. Her eyes went wide with worry. She gave her daughter a small shake of her head. It meant stay hidden, stay quiet, don't let them see you. Elena understood. She had learned long ago that she was supposed to be invisible in this house. The Blackwood mansion was huge. It had 15 rooms, not counting the bathrooms. The floors were made of marble that shined like mirrors. Paintings hung on the walls, the kind that Elena had only seen in books about museums. There was a library with thousands of books, most of which no one ever read. There was a gym, a home theater, and a wine cellar in the basement. But the room that Elena loved most, the room that made her heart beat faster every time she walked past it, was the music room. It was on the first floor, down a long hallway past the main stairs. The door was usually closed, but sometimes when no one was home, Rosa would let Elena peek inside. The music room had windows that went from floor to ceiling. Soft cream-colored curtains hung on either side. The walls were painted a light blue. But none of that mattered to Elena. What mattered was the piano. It sat in the center of the room like a king on a throne. It was a Steinway grand piano, black and shiny, so perfect it almost did not look real. Elena had looked up the model once at the public library. It cost $200,000. $200,000. She could not even imagine that much money. Victoria Blackwood, the daughter of the family, took piano lessons on that beautiful instrument. Victoria was 17, 2 years older than Elena. She had blonde hair that was always styled perfectly. She wore designer clothes and carried purses that cost more than Rosa's monthly salary. Victoria went to a private school where the tuition was $50,000 a year. Elena could hear Victoria's voice now, loud and sharp, coming from the front entrance. She was arriving with a group of her friends. Their laughter filled the hallway. It was the kind of laughter that made Elena feel small. "Everyone come see the music room," Victoria said. "Daddy just had the piano tuned. It cost like $2,000 just for that. Can you believe it?" Elena pressed herself against the wall of the kitchen, trying to become even more invisible. She watched through the doorway as Victoria led 5 of her friends down the hallway. They were all dressed in expensive casual clothes, jeans that probably cost $300, sweaters made of soft cashmere, boots that were this season's latest fashion. The group disappeared into the music room. Elena could hear them talking and laughing. She heard someone sit down at the piano and play a few notes. The notes were clumsy and wrong. Then more laughter. Rosa came back into the kitchen. She was carrying an empty tray now. Her face looked tired and stressed. "Mija," she whispered to Elena, "you should not be here. Mrs. Blackwood does not like when you are here during parties." "I know, Mama," Elena whispered back. "Mr. Chen kept me late. We were working on the Rachmaninoff piece. He says I am almost ready." Rosa's tired face softened for a moment. "Your teacher is a good man. But please, go to the back room and wait there. I will bring you some food when I can. The party will be over by 10 o'clock. Elena nodded. She started to move toward the back room, a small space near the laundry where Rosa sometimes took her breaks. But then she heard Victoria's voice again, louder now. Ugh, I hate piano lessons, Victoria complained. My teacher is so boring. And the music is like from a million years ago. Who even listens to classical music anymore? But you have to admit, one of her friends said, that piano is gorgeous. My mom would kill for one like that. Yeah, well, I barely use it, Victoria said. I have a lesson once a week and I never practice. It just sits there looking pretty. Elena felt something twist in her chest. That beautiful piano, that amazing instrument was wasted on someone who did not care about it. She thought about the piano she practiced on at St. Mary's Church 3 blocks from her apartment. It was an old upright piano that was missing some of the ivory from the keys. Some of the notes stuck. The bench wobbled, but to Elena it was precious. It was where she went every day after school. It was where she learned to play, where she poured out her heart. Father Miguel at the church had been kind enough to let her use it. He had seen her standing outside the church one day when she was 5 years old, listening to someone practice inside. He had invited her in. When he discovered she could not afford lessons, he had made some phone calls. That was how Elena met Mr. Chen. Mr. Chen was 70 years old. He had been a concert pianist in China before he moved to America. He had played in famous concert halls all over the world. But now he was retired and lived in a small apartment above a grocery store. He gave piano lessons to a few students, mostly children whose parents had money. But when Father Miguel told him about Elena, about the little girl with no money but with stars in her eyes when she talked about music, Mr. Chen had agreed to teach her for free. That was 10 years ago. For 10 years, Elena had taken lessons with Mr. Chen twice a week. For 10 years, she had practiced every single day, even when her fingers hurt, even when she was tired from helping her mother. Music was not just something she did. It was who she was. Rosa had supported her daughter's dream even though it was hard. Even though it meant Elena spent hours at that church instead of getting a part-time job like other kids her age. Rosa believed in her daughter. She believed that Elena had a gift. What Elena did not know, what Rosa had kept secret, was exactly how much her mother had sacrificed for those lessons. Mr. Chen had said the lessons were free, but Rosa knew that a teacher of his skill and experience should be paid. So Rosa had found a second job. After she finished her work at the Blackwood Mansion at 6 in the evening, she went to an office building downtown. From 8 at night until midnight, she cleaned offices. She mopped floors, emptied trash cans, cleaned bathrooms. Then she went home to their small apartment, slept for 5 hours, and got up to start another day at the Blackwood Mansion. The money from the second job went into an envelope that Rosa gave to Mr. Chen once a month. He had protested at first, said it was too much, that he did not need it. But Rosa had insisted. My daughter has a gift, she had told him in her accented English. You are giving her a future. Please let me pay what I can. Elena knew her mother worked hard, but she did not know about the second job. Rosa had made sure of that. She told Elena she was visiting a friend or running errands or helping out at the church. She never wanted Elena to feel guilty about the piano lessons. Now, standing in the kitchen of the Blackwood Mansion, Rosa looked at her daughter's face. She saw the hurt there, the pain of hearing Victoria talk about that beautiful piano like it meant nothing. Rosa wished she could give Elena a piano like that. She wished she could give her daughter everything. But wishing did not pay bills or buy pianos. Go to the back room, mija, Rosa said again gently. Please. Elena was about to obey when Mrs. Blackwood's voice called out from the dining room. Rosa, we need more ice for the drinks. Rosa hurried away, leaving Elena alone in the kitchen. Elena stood there for a moment, clutching her school bag. Inside the bag was her sheet music folder. It was old and battered, held together with tape. Inside were pieces by Bach, Beethoven, Chopin, Liszt, and Rachmaninoff. Pieces she had practiced hundreds of times. Pieces she knew by heart. She heard footsteps coming down the hall. Young voices getting closer. Elena quickly moved to hide in the pantry, but she was not fast enough. Victoria and her friends appeared in the doorway between the kitchen and the hallway. They stopped when they saw Elena. Victoria's perfectly made-up face showed surprise, then something else. Something that looked like annoyance mixed with amusement. Oh, Victoria said, drawing out the word. What are you doing here? Elena felt her face get hot. I am waiting for my mother. I am sorry. I will go. Wait, one of Victoria's friends said. She was a tall girl with red hair and a mean smile. Is this the maid's daughter? The one you told us about? Victoria was smiling wide now. Wait, she said. So you play piano? On some old church piano, and you have sheet music and everything? She turned to her friends. This is actually hilarious. Does the Helps kid even know what a real piano sounds like? More laughter. Elena felt tears starting to form. She blinked hard, trying to keep them back. She would not cry in front of these girls. She would not give them that satisfaction. I bet she plays like nursery rhymes, one of the girls said. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. Or chopsticks, another added. Victoria was looking at Elena with an expression that mixed amusement with something like curiosity. Have you ever even seen a real piano? Like a professional one? Elena thought about the Steinway in the music room. The piano she had glimpsed through doorways. The piano that haunted her dreams. But she said nothing. I bet she has not, Victoria said, answering her own question. She turned to her friends. You guys want to see something funny? Come on. She started walking back toward the music room. Her friends followed, still giggling. Victoria paused and looked back at Elena. Come on, she said. I want to show you something. Elena did not want to follow. Every instinct told her to run to the back room to hide. But something in Victoria's voice made it clear this was not a request. It was a command. And in this house, the Blackwoods gave commands, and people like Elena obeyed. Elena followed the group down the hallway. Her heart was pounding. Her hands felt cold and sweaty at the same time. She had no idea what Victoria was planning, but she knew it would not be good. They entered the music room. The sight of the Steinway made Elena's breath catch, even in this awful moment. It was so beautiful. The black surface was so shiny she could see reflections in it. The keys were perfect, pristine white and black. Victoria walked over to the piano and ran her hand along it like someone petting a show dog. This, she said, is a real piano. It cost my dad $200,000. $200,000. Do you even know how much money that is? Elena knew exactly how much money that was. It was more than her mother would earn in 5 years. Maybe more. But she said nothing. This piano is tuned every 3 months, Victoria continued. Each tuning costs $2,000. My piano teacher comes from Manhattan. She charges $500 per lesson. I take 1 lesson a week. She sat down on the piano bench. It was padded, covered in elegant black fabric. She played a few notes. They sounded like heaven, even played carelessly the way Victoria played them. I have been taking lessons on this piano for 8 years, Victoria said. 8 years. And I am like pretty good. Not great, but pretty good. My teacher says I could probably get into a decent music school if I actually tried. She stood up from the bench and looked at Elena. All of her friends were watching now, smiling, waiting to see what would happen next. So you play piano on some broken church piano, Victoria said. And you think you know about music? But you have never played on anything like this, have you? You have never even touched a real piano like this. Elena shook her head. No, she whispered. Victoria's smile got bigger. I thought so. You know what? I want to see what you can do. I want to see what the maid's daughter who practices on a church piano can play. Come here. Sit down. Elena's eyes went wide. What? Sit down, Victoria repeated, pointing at the bench. Play something. I want to see if you even know how. Elena looked at the piano, then at Victoria, then at the group of girls who were all watching with eager, mean expressions. This was a trap. This was a game they would play at her expense. They wanted to laugh at her. They wanted to humiliate her more than they already had. But Elena looked at that beautiful piano. That instrument she had dreamed about. That Steinway that sounded like pure gold when even Victoria's careless fingers touched it. And despite the fear, despite the humiliation, she wanted to play it. God, she wanted to play it so badly. No, thank you, Elena said quietly. I should go. Oh, come on, the red-haired girl said. Don't be shy. Show us what you can do. Yeah, another girl added. We want to see. Maybe you are actually good. But their tones made it clear they did not think that at all. They expected her to fail. They expected her to sit down and fumble through something simple while they laughed and recorded it on their phones. Elena felt something inside her. It was not anger exactly. It was more like a deep sadness. These girls had everything. Everything. And they did not even appreciate it. Victoria had this piano, had expensive lessons, had every opportunity, and she did not care. She had actually said she hated piano lessons. Elena had nothing. She practiced on a piano with broken keys. Her mother worked 2 jobs. They lived in a tiny apartment where Elena could hear the neighbors fighting through the walls. But Elena loved music more than anything in the world. She loved it with her whole heart. And these girls were making fun of her for it. "I need to go," Elena said again. She turned toward the door. "Fine, run away," Victoria said behind her. "I guess you know you would just embarrass yourself anyway." Elena stopped. She closed her eyes. Mr. Chen's voice came into her head. He always told her that music was not about showing off. It was not about being better than other people. It was about expressing something true. It was about connecting with something bigger than yourself. But Mr. Chen had also told her something else. He had said that sometimes people needed to be reminded that talent could come from anywhere. That greatness was not about money or status. It was about dedication and heart. Elena turned back around. She looked at Victoria. "Can I play it?" she asked. Her voice was quiet but steady. Victoria looked surprised.
"What, can I play the piano?"
Elena repeated. "Just once, just one song. Can I play it for my mom?" The question hung in the air. Victoria looked at her friends. They looked back at her. Then Victoria laughed. It was a sharp, cruel laugh. "For your mom?"
For the help?
Oh my God, that is actually sad, but then Victoria shrugged. "Yeah, sure, go ahead. Play for the help. This is going to be hilarious. Madison, get your phone out. We have to record this." The red-haired girl pulled out her phone. The others did the same. They were all smiling, ready to capture Elena's failure. Elena walked slowly to the piano bench. She set her school bag down on the floor. Her hands were shaking. This was wrong. This whole situation was wrong. She should not play for them. She should not perform like a trained monkey for their entertainment. But then she thought about her mother working in the other room. Rosa, who had given up so much. Rosa, who believed in her even when no one else did. Elena sat down on the bench. It was soft and comfortable. She looked at the keys of the Steinway. They were perfect, beautiful. She had dreamed of this moment, but never like this. Never surrounded by people who wanted her to fail. She closed her eyes. She took a deep breath. And she put her fingers on the keys. In the kitchen, Rosa had just finished getting more ice when she heard it. Music. Piano music. Coming from the music room. But it was not Victoria's clumsy playing. This was something else entirely. Rosa's heart stopped. She knew that playing. She knew those hands. That was her daughter. Rosa dropped the ice bucket. It clattered on the floor, ice cubes scattering everywhere. But she did not notice. She ran toward the music room, her heart pounding with fear and pride and confusion all mixed together. What was Elena doing? Why was she playing? What had happened? Rosa reached the doorway of the music room and stopped. She could see Victoria and her friends standing there, phones out. And there, at the beautiful Steinway piano, was Elena, her little girl, playing. The first notes that came from Elena's fingers were soft, gentle. They floated through the music room like silk ribbons in the wind. Elena had chosen to play Clair de Lune by Debussy. It was a piece that meant moonlight. It was a piece about beauty and sadness all mixed together. Victoria's smile started to fade. The girls with their phones stopped whispering to each other. They went quiet, because what they were hearing was not what they expected at all. Elena's fingers moved across the keys like they had been born to be there. There was no hesitation, no mistakes. The music flowed from her hands like water from a fountain. She played with her eyes closed, her body swaying slightly with the melody. She was not thinking about the girls watching her. She was not thinking about their phones recording. She was somewhere else entirely. She was in the music. Rosa stood in the doorway, her hand over her mouth. Tears were already forming in her eyes. She had heard Elena play hundreds of times at the church, but never like this. Never on an instrument this perfect. The Steinway made every note sound like a jewel. It brought out colors in the music that the old church piano could never produce. The piece built slowly, becoming more complex. Elena's left hand played a rolling pattern of notes while her right hand sang out the melody. It was beautiful. It was more than beautiful. It was transcendent. One of Victoria's friends lowered her phone. She was not smiling anymore. She was just listening, her mouth slightly open. In the dining room, some of the dinner party guests had stopped talking. They could hear the piano music drifting through the house. It was not background music. It was the kind of music that demanded attention. Mrs. Blackwood, who had been laughing at something one of her guests said, went quiet. She tilted her head, listening. "Is that Victoria playing?" she asked. Mr. Blackwood, who was pouring wine, paused. He listened too. "I do not think so," he said slowly. "Victoria has never played like that." Elena continued playing, unaware of the effect she was having. The music moved through different emotions. There were parts that sounded like happiness, like dancing in moonlight. There were parts that sounded like longing, like missing something you could never have. Elena poured everything into it. All her years of practice, all her mother's sacrifices, all her dreams of one day playing on a stage somewhere, anywhere. The piece came to its ending. The notes got softer and softer, like the moon slowly hiding behind clouds. Elena played the final notes with such tenderness that they seemed to hang in the air even after the sound stopped. For a moment, there was complete silence. Elena opened her eyes. She looked down at her hands on the keys. She had done it. She had played the Steinway. She had played the piano of her dreams, and it had been everything she imagined and more. Then she remembered where she was. She remembered Victoria and her friends. She remembered the phones. Her heart sank. She stood up quickly, her face flushing red. "I am sorry," she stammered. "I should not have touched it. I'm sorry." But no one was laughing now. The red-haired girl was staring at Elena like she had never seen her before. Another girl had tears on her cheeks. Victoria looked confused, like the world had suddenly turned upside down. Rosa ran into the room. "Elena," she said, her voice choked with emotion. She grabbed her daughter's hand. "Mija, come. We need to go." But before they could leave, Mrs. Blackwood appeared in the doorway. She was a tall woman with blonde hair like Victoria's. She wore a black dress that probably cost thousands of dollars. She had diamond earrings that sparkled in the light. She looked at Elena, then at Rosa, then back at Elena. "Who are you?" Mrs. Blackwood asked. "She is my daughter, ma'am," Rosa said quickly. "I am so sorry. She should not have touched the piano. It will not happen again. Please forgive us." Mrs. Blackwood held up her hand. "Wait," she said. She looked at Elena more carefully. "That was you playing just now?" Elena nodded, not trusting herself to speak. Mrs. Blackwood's expression was strange. It was not angry. It was something else. Surprised, maybe. Confused. "Where did you learn to play like that?" "I take lessons, ma'am," Elena said quietly. "At a church nearby." "Lessons at a church," Mrs. Blackwood repeated. She looked at her daughter. "Victoria, you have been taking lessons for 8 years with one of the best teachers in the city, on this piano. And you cannot play even half that well." Victoria's face went bright red. She looked down at the floor, humiliated in front of her friends. Mr. Blackwood had come to see what was happening. Several of the dinner party guests were crowding into the hallway, trying to peek into the music room. Everyone wanted to know who had been playing. "That was extraordinary," Mr. Blackwood said. He was a big man with gray hair. He looked at Elena with genuine interest. "How long have you been playing?" 10 years, sir," Elena said. 10 years, he repeated, shaking his head in amazement. "And you practice at a church?" "Yes, sir. St. Mary's. They let me use their piano." Mrs. Blackwood was still looking at Elena. "I have been to dozens of recitals," she said. "I have heard music students from Juilliard and the Manhattan School of Music, and that playing was professional level. That was not amateur playing." Rosa squeezed Elena's hand. She was proud but also terrified. She did not know what this meant. Were they in trouble? Would she lose her job? She had worked so hard to keep Elena's talent hidden from the Blackwoods. She had been afraid they would mock it or worse, feel threatened by it somehow. One of the dinner guests, a woman with white hair, pushed her way to the front. "I am sorry to interrupt," she said, "but I have to know. Young lady, what is your name?" "Elena Martinez, ma'am," Elena said. "Elena, do you plan to pursue music professionally?" Elena looked at her mother, then back at the woman. "I hope to, ma'am. That is my dream. But I do not know if it is possible." "Why not possible?" the woman asked. Elena did not know how to answer that. "Because we have no money? Because my mother cleans houses? Because people like me do not get to have dreams like that?" She said none of these things. She just shrugged. The woman turned to Mrs. Blackwood. "Catherine, do you know what you have here? This girl is exceptional. Truly exceptional." Mrs. Blackwood looked uncomfortable. She glanced at Rosa, who was standing very still, her eyes filled with worry. I had no idea Rosa's daughter played piano, she said. I never mentioned it, ma'am, Rosa said quickly. I did not want to bother you with my personal life. But Elena, how do you afford lessons? Mrs. Blackwood asked. Piano teachers are very expensive. Elena looked at her mother. Rosa's face had gone pale. Elena suddenly realized she did not actually know how they afforded Mr. Chen's lessons. He had told her he taught her for free, but she had always wondered if that was really true. Teachers had to make a living. My teacher is very kind, Elena said carefully. He does not charge much. Mrs. Blackwood was about to ask another question when one of the guests called out from the dining room. Catherine, you need to come see this. There is something on the news about that charity gala next month. Mrs. Blackwood hesitated, then nodded. We will talk more about this later, she said. She looked at Victoria. You and your friends should rejoin the party. Then she swept out of the room, her guests following. Mr. Blackwood lingered for a moment. You have a real gift, young lady, he told Elena. Do not waste it. Then he left too. Victoria and her friends filed out silently. Victoria did not look at Elena. She seemed shaken. The girl who had been so confident and cruel earlier now looked small and uncertain. When everyone was gone, Rosa pulled Elena out of the music room and down the hallway to the back room. As soon as the door closed behind them, Rosa hugged her daughter tightly. Why did you do that? Rosa asked, her voice shaking. Why did you play? They were making fun of me, Mama, Elena said. Victoria asked if I could play. She was going to laugh at me. But then I thought about you, about everything you do for me, and I wanted to show them. I wanted to show them that just because we do not have money does not mean I cannot be good at something. Rosa pulled back and looked at her daughter's face. There were tears running down Elena's cheeks now. All the tension and fear and humiliation of the evening was pouring out. Oh, mija, Rosa said, wiping Elena's tears with her thumbs. You are good at so much. You are smart and kind and talented. You never have to prove anything to people like them. But Mama, they were so mean. They laughed because I practice at a church. They think I do not know what real music is. Rosa held her daughter close again. Let them think what they want. You know the truth. Mr. Chen knows the truth. And now everyone who heard you play tonight knows the truth too. They sat together in the small back room for a while. Rosa knew she should get back to work. The dinner party was not over. There would be dishes to clear, more food to serve. But right now she needed to be with her daughter. Elena, Rosa said finally, I need to tell you something. I need to be honest with you about Mr. Chen's lessons. Elena looked up at her mother. What do you mean? Rosa took a deep breath. He did not teach you for free. I mean, he tried to. When Father Miguel first introduced you, Mr. Chen said he would not charge anything, but I could not let him do that. He is a great teacher. He deserves to be paid. But Mama, we do not have extra money. How did you pay him? I got a second job, Rosa said quietly. At night. After I finish here, I go clean offices downtown. I work from 8 until midnight. Then I come home. Elena stared at her mother, her eyes going wide. What, Mama, no. You cannot. That is too much. You are already so tired. I am fine, Rosa said, even though they both knew it was not entirely true. I wanted you to have the lessons. I wanted you to have the chance to develop your gift. Mr. Chen is a wonderful teacher. He has given you so much. And you, Mika, you have worked so hard. I see how dedicated you are. I could not let money stand in the way. For how long? Elena asked. How long have you been working 2 jobs? Rosa hesitated. Since you started lessons with Mr. Chen for 10 years. 10 years? Elena felt like she had been punched in the stomach. Mama, no. That is too long. That is too much. You need to quit the night job. I will stop the lessons. Absolutely not, Rosa said firmly. You will not stop lessons. Do you understand me? This is not about money. This is about your future. You have something special, Elena. Something rare. I will work 3 jobs if I have to. But you look so tired all the time, Elena said, tears coming again. I thought you were just getting older. I did not know you were working all night. I did not want you to know, Rosa admitted. I did not want you to feel guilty. You should never feel guilty for having a gift and pursuing it. That is what gifts are for. They are meant to be used and shared. Elena hugged her mother tightly. I love you, Mama, thank you. Thank you for everything. They stayed like that for a long moment. Then Rosa gently pulled away. I need to get back to work before Mrs. Blackwood notices I am gone too long. You stay here. Read your book or do your homework. I will come get you when the party is over." Rosa left and Elena sat alone in the small room. Her mind was spinning. Her mother had been working 2 jobs for 10 years. 10 years of barely sleeping. 10 years of exhausting herself. All so Elena could take piano lessons. Elena pulled out her phone. It was an old phone, the kind that barely worked anymore, but it could still make calls. She dialed Mr. Chen's number. "Hello?" Mr. Chen's voice was warm and familiar. "Mr. Chen, it is Elena." "Elena, what is wrong? You sound upset." "I just found out about my mother's night job," Elena said. "I did not know. I did not know she was working 2 jobs to pay for my lessons." There was a long pause on the other end of the line. "Ah," Mr. Chen said finally. "Your mother made me promise not to tell you. She did not want you to know, but why? Why would she keep that from me?" "Because she is a mother," Mr. Chen said gently, "and mothers do not want their children to carry their burdens. She wanted you to focus on your music, not worry about money." "It is not fair," Elena said. "She is killing herself for me." "She is sacrificing for you," Mr. Chen corrected. "There is a difference. And Elena, you must understand something. Your mother's sacrifice has meaning because of what you do with it. Every time you practice, every time you improve, every time you play with your heart and soul, you honor her sacrifice. Do you understand?" Elena wiped her eyes. "Yes, sir." "Good. Now about the Rachmaninoff. We are almost ready for you to perform it. I have been thinking. There is a competition coming up. A big one. The Metropolitan Youth Piano Competition." "I know about it," Elena said. "But Mr. Chen, I cannot enter. It costs $500 just to submit an audition." "I know. I looked into it. But Elena, if you could enter, if somehow we found the money, I believe you could win. I truly believe it. And the prize is a performance with the city's Philharmonic Orchestra, plus a full scholarship to a summer music program." Elena's heart ached. It sounded like a dream, but it was an impossible dream. "We do not have $500 for an entry fee. My mother is already working so hard. I could never ask her for more." "I understand," Mr. Chen said. "But I wanted you to know, I believe in you that much. You are ready for that level of competition." After they said goodbye and hung up, Elena sat thinking. The Metropolitan Youth Piano Competition. She had read about it online at the school library. Pianists from all over the state competed. The winner got to play with a real orchestra. The winner got recognition, opportunities, a chance at a real future in music. But $500 might as well be $5 million. They did not have it. And Elena would never ask her mother for more after learning about the second job. Elena heard footsteps in the hallway. She quickly wiped her face, not wanting anyone to see she had been crying. But it was just one of the catering staff carrying dirty dishes to the kitchen. The evening dragged on. Elena did her homework in the back room. She worked on her math problems and read a chapter for English class. But her mind kept wandering. She kept thinking about her mother cleaning offices after midnight. She kept thinking about the Steinway piano and how perfect it had felt to play it. She kept thinking about Victoria, who had everything but did not appreciate any of it. Around 9:30, she heard more voices in the hallway. The party seemed to be winding down. She could hear people saying goodbye, thanking Mrs. Blackwood for a lovely evening. Elena looked at her phone. She saw she had a text from her friend Maria from school. "Where were you after class?" "We were supposed to study together." Elena had completely forgotten. She texted back, "Sorry, stuck at my mom's work. We'll explain tomorrow." At 10:15, Rosa came to get her. Her mother looked even more exhausted than usual. "Come, Mia. Everyone is gone. I need to finish cleaning and then we can go home." Elena helped her mother. They cleared the last of the glasses, wiped down the counters, made sure everything was perfect for the morning. Mrs. Blackwood had already gone upstairs. Mr. Blackwood was in his study. Victoria was in her room. As they were about to leave, Elena noticed something on the hall table near the door. It was a program. She picked it up and looked at it. Her heart jumped. It was a program for the Metropolitan Youth Piano Competition. It had dates, requirements, and information about how to enter. "Elena, come," Rosa called. "It is late." Elena slipped the program into her bag. She did not know why. Maybe just to have something to dream about, even if the dream was impossible. They walked to the bus stop together. It was cold outside. November nights in the city were always cold. They waited for the bus that would take them to their neighborhood. The bus was mostly empty at this hour, just a few people heading home from late shifts. Their apartment was small. It was in an old building with narrow hallways and stairs that creaked. They lived on the 3rd floor. 2 rooms, a tiny kitchen, and a bathroom. But it was clean. Rosa made sure of that. And it was home. Elena got ready for bed while Rosa made them some tea. They sat together at the small kitchen table. "Mama," Elena said, "I am sorry about tonight. I should not have touched that piano. I might have gotten you in trouble." Rosa shook her head. "You did not get me in trouble." Mrs. Blackwood was surprised, that is all. "And Elena, I was so proud when I heard you play, so proud I thought my heart would burst. But you looked scared." "I was scared," Rosa admitted. "I did not know what would happen. I have worked for the Blackwoods for so long. I did not want anything to change. But maybe change is not always bad." "What do you mean?" "I mean that maybe it is good they know now. That you are talented. That you are special. Maybe it will make them see us differently, see us as people, not just as the help." Elena wanted to believe that, but she had seen Victoria's face. She had heard the laughter before she played. She did not think people like the Blackwoods changed their opinion so easily. They finished their tea and went to bed. Elena lay in her small bed staring at the ceiling. She could hear her mother in the next room getting ready for sleep. But in just a few hours, Rosa would have to get up and go to the office building to clean. Elena made a decision then. She would find a way to make money. She would get a part-time job, maybe on weekends. She would help pay for the lessons. She could not let her mother kill herself working 2 jobs while Elena just went to school and practiced piano. But even as she made this decision, another thought crept in. A thought about that competition, about that program sitting in her bag, about what it would mean to have a chance, a real chance at a future in music. She fell asleep dreaming of pianos and orchestras and her mother finally being able to rest. The next morning, Elena woke up to the sound of her mother getting ready for work. The sun was barely up. Elena looked at her clock. 5:30 in the morning. Rosa had only gotten about 4 hours of sleep after coming home from the office cleaning job. Elena got out of bed and went to the kitchen. Rosa was making coffee, moving slowly like every muscle in her body hurt. "Mama, please sit," Elena said. "Let me make breakfast." Rosa smiled but shook her head. "You need to get ready for school, mija." "I am fine," but she was not fine. Elena could see it in the dark circles under her mother's eyes, in the way her hands shook slightly as she poured the coffee, in the slowness of her movements. "Mama, you need to quit the night job," Elena said. "Please, I cannot watch you do this anymore." "We are not talking about this again," Rosa said firmly. "Go get ready for school." Elena wanted to argue, but she knew it would not help. Her mother was stubborn. Once Rosa made up her mind about something, nothing could change it. Elena got dressed in her school uniform and grabbed her bag. Inside was the program for the Metropolitan Youth Piano Competition. She had looked at it again last night before falling asleep. The deadline for submitting audition videos was today at 5 o'clock in the evening. After that, no more entries would be accepted. At school, Elena could not focus. In math class, she stared at the problems without seeing them. In English, she heard her teacher's voice, but the words meant nothing. All she could think about was the competition, and the $500 entry fee, and her mother working 2 jobs. During lunch, her friend Maria noticed something was wrong. "You okay?" Maria asked. "You have been weird all morning." Elena told her what had happened the night before at the Blackwood mansion. About Victoria and her cruel friends, about playing the Steinway, about finding out about her mother's second job. Maria listened with wide eyes. "Your mom is working 2 jobs?" "Elena, I had no idea. Why did you never tell me?" "Because I did not know," Elena said. "She kept it secret from me for 10 years. "That is crazy," Maria said. "But also kind of amazing. Your mom really loves you?" "I know. That is why I feel so guilty. She is killing herself for my piano lessons. And now there is this competition I could enter. But it costs $500. I would never ask my mom for that money. Never." Maria thought for a moment. "Could you ask your teacher? Mr. Chen, maybe he could help?" Elena shook her head. "He already teaches me for less than he should charge. My mom pays him something, but I know it is not enough for someone of his skill. I cannot ask him for more. What about the Blackwoods? Maria suggested. They are rich. And you said Mrs. Blackwood seemed impressed by your playing. Maybe she would sponsor you or something? Elena laughed, but it was a bitter laugh. Ask the family my mother works for to give me money? That would be so humiliating. Besides, they do not care about me. I am just the maid's daughter who surprised them for one evening. By today, they will have forgotten all about it. But Elena was wrong about that. At that exact moment in the Blackwood mansion, Mrs. Blackwood was having a conversation with her husband over breakfast. I cannot stop thinking about that girl, Mrs. Blackwood said. She was eating a piece of toast, but she was not really paying attention to it. Rosa's daughter, Elena. Mr. Blackwood looked up from his newspaper. The one who played last night? Yes, that playing was remarkable. Truly remarkable. And to think she has been practicing on some old church piano all these years. It is impressive, Mr. Blackwood agreed. The girl has talent. More than talent, Mrs. Blackwood said. That was something else. That was gift. And here is Victoria, who has had every advantage, every opportunity, and she can barely play a simple piece without making mistakes. Victoria, who was eating cereal at the other end of the table, flushed red. Can we not talk about this? She muttered. We need to talk about it, Mrs. Blackwood said. You have been taking expensive lessons for 8 years, on a $200,000 piano, and Rosa's daughter, who has nothing, plays circles around you. Do you not feel any shame about that? Catherine, Mr. Blackwood said in a warning tone. That is not fair to Victoria. Fair? Mrs. Blackwood set down her toast. You want to talk about fair? That girl probably works harder in 1 week than Victoria has worked her entire life. Victoria threw down her spoon. You know what? I never even wanted to play piano. You are the one who made me take lessons. You are the one who bought that stupid piano. Victoria, Mrs. Blackwood said sharply. Do not speak to me that way. Why not? It is true. You wanted a daughter who played piano because your friend Martha's daughter plays. You wanted to show off. But I am not good at it, and I never will be. And yet, Elena is better than me. She is probably better than everyone at Oakmont. Are you happy now? Victoria stood up and ran out of the room. They heard her footsteps pounding up the stairs and then her bedroom door slamming. Mrs. Blackwood sighed. That girl is so dramatic. She has a point, though, Mr. Blackwood said. You did push her into piano lessons. I wanted her to have culture, to have accomplishments. Is that so wrong? No, but maybe we focused on the wrong things. Victoria might have talents in other areas. We just never looked. Mrs. Blackwood was quiet for a moment. Then she said, I looked up that competition. The Metropolitan Youth Piano Competition. The deadline is today. And, Mr. Blackwood asked, I think Elena should enter. She would have a real chance at winning. Does she know about it? I do not know. But I want to help her enter. I was thinking I could sponsor her. Pay the entry fee. Maybe even hire someone to film a professional audition video for her. Mr. Blackwood looked at his wife. That is very generous of you. But have you thought about how Rosa might feel about that? She is very proud. She might not want charity. It is not charity, Mrs. Blackwood protested. It is recognizing talent and giving it a chance to shine. To Rosa, it might feel like charity. You should be careful how you approach this. Mrs. Blackwood considered that. Maybe you are right. I will think about it, but she did not have to think long. Because at that moment Rosa arrived for work. Mrs. Blackwood heard her come in through the back door. She got up from the breakfast table and went to find her. Rosa was in the kitchen putting on her apron. She looked surprised when Mrs. Blackwood came in. Usually Mrs. Blackwood did not come to the kitchen. She usually just left lists of things she wanted Rosa to do. Good morning, Rosa, Mrs. Blackwood said. Good morning, ma'am, Rosa replied. Do you need something? I wanted to talk to you. About Elena. About last night. Rosa went very still. I am sorry about that, ma'am. She should not have touched the piano. It will not happen again, Rosa, please. I am not angry. The opposite, actually. I was amazed by her playing. Truly amazed. Rosa relaxed a tiny bit. Thank you, ma'am. She has worked very hard, I can tell. Rosa, I want to ask you something. Does Elena know about the Metropolitan Youth Piano Competition? Rosa hesitated. I do not know, ma'am. Maybe. She follows the music competitions online. The deadline to enter is today, Mrs. Blackwood said. I think Elena should enter. I would like to sponsor her entry. Pay the fee. Help her make an audition video. Rosa's face changed. Her expression closed off, became guarded. That is very kind, ma'am. But it is not necessary. We cannot accept. Why not? Mrs. Blackwood asked, confused. It would be my pleasure to help. Elena has real talent. She deserves the opportunity. We do not need charity, ma'am, Rosa said quietly but firmly. It is not charity. It is an investment in talent. To you, maybe it is investment. To me, it feels like charity, like pity. Thank you for the offer, but no. Mrs. Blackwood felt frustrated. She had expected Rosa to be grateful, not stubborn. Rosa, please think about Elena. This could change her life. I think about Elena every day, ma'am. Every single day. That is why I work 2 jobs, so she can have lessons and opportunities. I do not need someone else to provide for my daughter. I can do it myself. But Rosa, $500 for an entry fee. That is a lot of money. Let me help. Rosa's face hardened even more.
How do you know about the $500?
Have you been asking about us? Researching us? No, I just looked up the competition online. I am trying to help. I understand, ma'am, and I appreciate it. But the answer is no. Now, if you will excuse me, I need to start my work. Mrs. Blackwood stood there for a moment, not sure what to say. Then she left the kitchen, feeling confused and a bit hurt. She had been trying to do something good. Why was Rosa so resistant? Meanwhile, at school, Elena was in her last class of the day. Social studies. But she was not paying attention. She was looking at the competition program under her desk. The deadline was in 3 hours. 3 hours and the opportunity would be gone. She thought about her mother's words from the night before, about how Elena's dedication and hard work honored her mother's sacrifice. Mr. Chen had said the same thing, that the meaning of Rosa's sacrifice came from what Elena did with it. But what could Elena do? She did not have $500. She could not ask her mother for it. And she certainly could not ask the Blackwoods, or could she? The thought made Elena feel sick. But maybe it was not about pride. Maybe it was about taking a chance. Mrs. Blackwood had seemed impressed last night. Really impressed. What if Elena just asked? What if she explained about the competition and offered to work it off somehow? Elena, what are you doing here? I am sorry to bother you, ma'am, Elena said. Her voice shook a little, but she pushed forward. I came to ask you for something. Can I talk to you for a moment? Mrs. Blackwood looked uncertain. Does your mother know you are here? No, ma'am. She is working right now. She does not know I came. I see. Well, come in. We can talk in the living room. Elena followed Mrs. Blackwood into the house. The living room was huge and elegant. There were couches that looked like they cost more than a car. Artwork on the walls. A coffee table made of glass and gold metal. Sit down, Mrs. Blackwood said, gesturing to one of the couches. Elena sat on the edge of the couch, her school bag on her lap. She clutched it tightly, trying to gather her courage. What did you want to talk about? Mrs. Blackwood asked. Elena took a deep breath. There is a piano competition. The Metropolitan Youth Piano Competition. My teacher thinks I am ready to enter. But there is an entry fee of $500 and the deadline is today at 5 o'clock. I was wondering if you would consider lending me the money. I would work it off. I could help with parties or clean or whatever you need. I would do anything. Mrs. Blackwood's expression was strange. Elena, I already talked to your mother about this morning. I offered to pay the entry fee. She said no. Elena felt like she had been slapped. What, she said no? Why? She said she did not want charity, that she could provide for you herself. Elena felt tears burning in her eyes. But that is not fair. This is my dream, my future. She should not make that decision for me. I understand how you feel, Mrs. Blackwood said gently. But I also understand your mother. She is proud. She works hard to take care of you. She does not want to feel like she is failing you. But she is not failing me, Elena said, her voice rising. She is the best mother in the world. But $500 is too much. And the deadline is today. I just want a chance. Just one chance. Mrs. Blackwood looked at Elena for a long moment. If I give you the money, your mother will be very upset. With both of us. I do not care, Elena said. I will deal with my mother. But please, Mrs. Blackwood, I am begging you. I have worked so hard for so many years. I just need this one opportunity. Before Mrs. Blackwood could answer, they heard footsteps. Victoria came down the stairs. She stopped when she saw Elena sitting in the living room. What is she doing here? Victoria asked. That is rude, Victoria, Mrs. Blackwood said. Elena came to ask for my help with something. Victoria came closer, her expression curious. Help with what? There is a piano competition, Mrs. Blackwood explained. Elena wants to enter, but she needs money for the entry fee. Victoria's face changed. Something flickered in her eyes. The Metropolitan Youth Competition? She asked. Yes, Elena said quietly. How did you know? My piano teacher told me about it, Victoria said. She wanted me to enter. But I said no. Why? Elena asked before she could stop herself. Victoria shrugged. Because I would lose, obviously. I am not that good. There was an awkward silence. Then Victoria said something that surprised everyone, including herself. You should enter, Elena. You are really good. Like really, really good. Better than anyone at my school. And they have this whole fancy music program. Thank you, Elena said, not sure what else to say. Victoria looked at her mother. Are you going to give her the money? Your mother already tried to help, Elena said bitterly. She offered to pay, but my mother said no. She said it was charity. That is stupid, Victoria said bluntly. No offense to your mom, but that is dumb. If someone wants to help you, you should let them help. Victoria, Mrs. Blackwood said in a warning tone. What? It is true. Look, I know I was mean to Elena yesterday. I know my friends and I were awful. But that playing last night was amazing. And if Elena can win that competition, she should enter. Who cares who pays for it? Mrs. Blackwood looked at her daughter with surprise. It was maybe the most mature thing Victoria had said in months. The problem is, Mrs. Blackwood said, that Rosa explicitly told me not to help. If I go against her wishes, I could damage our relationship. I could even lose her as an employee, and she has been with us for 12 years. Then do not tell her, Victoria said. Give Elena the money and do not tell Rosa where it came from. Elena, can you tell your mom you found the money somewhere else? Elena did not like the idea of lying to her mother, but she also knew her mother would never agree to this otherwise. I could tell her I borrowed it from a friend, Elena said slowly. Or that my teacher helped me. Mrs. Blackwood looked torn. I do not know. This feels wrong. Going behind Rosa's back? But it is for a good reason, Victoria insisted. Come on, Mom. You are always saying we should help people who help themselves. Well, Elena helps herself every single day. She practices for hours. She works hard at school. She deserves this chance. Elena looked at Victoria with new eyes. This was not the cruel, mocking girl from yesterday. This was someone different. Someone who maybe was not as bad as Elena had thought. Mrs. Blackwood stood up and paced across the room. She looked at the clock. It is 4:15, she said. The deadline is in 45 minutes. So we do not have time to debate this, Victoria said. Mom, just give her the money. We can deal with the consequences later. Mrs. Blackwood stopped pacing. She looked at Elena. If I do this, you have to promise me something. You have to promise that you will do your absolute best in that competition, that you will not waste this opportunity. I promise, Elena said immediately. I swear I will do my best. And you have to tell your mother the truth eventually. Maybe not today, but soon. I will not have this kind of secret between Rosa and me for long. I will tell her, Elena said. After the competition. I will explain everything. Mrs. Blackwood made her decision. Okay, I will give you the money. But there is another problem. You need to make an audition video and submit it in 45 minutes. We do not have time to film anything now. Elena's heart sank. She had been so focused on the entry fee that she had forgotten about the audition video. Can I film it on my phone? Would that be okay? The quality would not be good enough, Mrs. Blackwood said. These competitions want professional quality video. Good lighting, good sound. We have all that stuff, Victoria said suddenly, from when Dad made that promotional video for his company last year. Remember? He bought a professional camera and everything. It is all in the office. We could film Elena right now, on the Steinway. Mrs. Blackwood looked at her daughter. Victoria, that is actually a good idea. I have them sometimes, Victoria said with a small smile. Everything happened very fast after that. Mrs. Blackwood went to get her husband's camera equipment. Victoria ran to the music room to make sure it looked good. Elena stood in the living room, hardly able to believe this was happening. In 10 minutes, they had set up the camera in the music room. Mrs. Blackwood had gotten pretty good at using the camera when helping her husband with his business videos. She knew about lighting and angles and sound. Okay, Elena, Mrs. Blackwood said, looking through the camera. Sit at the piano. Play whatever piece you think shows your skills best. You have one chance at this. We do not have time for multiple takes. Elena sat at the beautiful Steinway piano. Her hands were shaking, not just from nerves but from the stress of the whole situation. The deadline was in 30 minutes now. If they did not finish this video and submit it soon, it would all be for nothing. Wait, Victoria said. She ran out of the room and came back with a cup of water. Drink this. You look pale. Elena drank the water, grateful. Victoria sat down in a chair to the side, out of the camera's view. You can do this, Victoria said. Just play like you did last night. Elena closed her eyes and took several deep breaths. She thought about her mother, about Mr. Chen, about all the hours of practice, about every sacrifice that had led to this moment. Then she opened her eyes and began to play. She had chosen Rachmaninoff's Piano Concerto No. 2, the same piece she had been working on with Mr. Chen. It was one of the most difficult pieces in the piano repertoire. It required technical skill, emotional depth, and physical endurance. It was a piece that could show everything she was capable of. Elena poured everything into the playing. All her passion, all her dreams, all her determination. Her fingers flew across the keys, drawing out sounds that seemed impossible from the instrument. The music filled the room, powerful and beautiful and heartbreaking all at once. Mrs. Blackwood filmed it all, moving the camera slightly to get different angles, zooming in on Elena's hands at the most technically impressive moments. Victoria sat watching, her eyes wide. She had never seen anything like this in person. The intensity, the emotion, the sheer skill. She felt ashamed of how she had treated Elena, how she had laughed at her. This girl, who had so much less than Victoria, was capable of creating something so beautiful it almost hurt to hear it. The piece finally came to its triumphant ending. Elena played the final notes and her hands rested on the keys. There was a moment of silence. Then Victoria started clapping. That was incredible, Victoria said, her voice full of genuine admiration. Like, seriously incredible. Mrs. Blackwood lowered the camera. That was extraordinary, Elena. If that performance does not get you into the competition, I do not know what would. A little weird, Elena admitted. But okay. Victoria sat in a pew while Elena practiced. She sat there for 2 hours, just listening. When Elena finally took a break, Victoria said, "You are going to win. I know you are." There are 19 other finalists, Elena said. Some of them are probably amazing. But none of them will play like you do, Victoria said. I have been thinking about why your playing is different, and I figured it out. You play like music is the most important thing in the world. Like it is not just a hobby or something you do to impress people. You play like it is part of your soul. Elena felt tears forming. Coming from Victoria, who had been so cruel before, these words meant a lot. Thank you, Elena said. And thank you for helping me that day. I never properly thanked you. You do not have to thank me. I'm just trying to be less of a terrible person. Victoria smiled sadly. My mom told me about your mom paying her back, for the entry fee, $50 a month until it is all paid back. That is going to take her almost a year. I know, Elena said. I told her not to do it, but she insisted. Your mom is really something, Victoria said. She works so hard for you. My mom just writes checks. She does not actually sacrifice anything. Your mom is not bad, Elena said. She helped me when she did not have to. I know. I'm not saying she is bad. Just that she does not have to struggle for anything. None of us do. And maybe that makes us weak in some ways. It was a surprisingly deep observation from someone Elena had thought was shallow. People were more complex than she had given them credit for. Finally, December 14th arrived, the day of the competition. Elena woke up feeling sick with nerves. She could barely eat breakfast. Rosa made her eggs and toast, but Elena could only manage a few bites. You need to eat, mija, Rosa said. You need energy to play. I cannot, Mama. My stomach is too nervous. Rosa sat down next to her daughter. Let me tell you something. No matter what happens today, I am proud of you. If you win, I am proud. If you do not win, I am still proud. You have already accomplished so much just by getting this far, so do not put too much pressure on yourself. Just go out there and play from your heart. Elena hugged her mother. Thank you, Mama. I will do my best. They took the bus to the Metropolitan Concert Hall. It was a huge building in the center of the city. Elena had walked past it dozens of times but never been inside. Now she was going to perform on its stage. Inside, the concert hall was beautiful. There were red velvet seats, crystal chandeliers, gold decorations on the walls. Everything was elegant and perfect. Elena checked in at the registration desk. They gave her a badge with her number on it. She was contestant number 14. She would perform somewhere in the middle of the competition. Rosa stayed with her as they went to the backstage area. There were other young pianists there, all looking nervous. Some were warming up their fingers. Some were running through music in their heads. Some were sitting with their families. Mr. Chen arrived at 12:30. Elena was so happy to see him. Mr. Chen, you came. Of course I came, he said, his old face smiling. I would not miss this for anything. Are you ready? I am terrified, Elena admitted. Good. A little fear is good. It means you care. Now remember everything we practiced, but most importantly, remember why you love music. Play for that reason. Not for the judges, not for the prize, not for anyone else. Play because you love it. At 1:30, Mrs. Blackwood arrived, and with her was Victoria. Elena was surprised but happy to see them. We wanted to support you, Mrs. Blackwood said. I hope that is okay. It is more than okay, Elena said. Thank you for coming. Victoria gave Elena a hug. You are going to be amazing. I know it. At 2 o'clock, the competition began. The audience filed into the concert hall. There were hundreds of people. Elena peeked out from backstage and felt her heart race. She had never played for so many people before. The first contestant went on stage. A boy about 16 years old. He played Chopin. He was good. Very good. Elena felt her nervousness increase. Everyone here was talented. How could she compete? One by one, the contestants performed. Some were excellent. Some were just okay. Some made mistakes and looked devastated as they left the stage. Elena watched and learned from each performance. Finally, after contestant number 13 finished, it was Elena's turn. Her number was called. Contestant number 14, Elena Martinez. Rosa squeezed her hand. Go show them, mija. Show them what you can do. Elena walked onto the stage. The lights were bright. The audience was a dark mass beyond the lights. The piano sat in the center of the stage, waiting for her. It was another Steinway, even bigger and more beautiful than the one at the Blackwood mansion. Elena sat at the piano bench. She adjusted her seat. She placed her hands on the keys. She took a deep breath. And then she began to play. She had chosen Rachmaninoff's Piano Concerto No. 2, the same piece from her audition video. It was the piece she knew best, the piece she had poured her heart into for months. The first notes filled the concert hall. Strong, confident, powerful notes. Elena forgot about the audience. She forgot about the judges. She forgot about everything except the music. Her fingers flew across the keys. The music swelled and crashed like ocean waves. There were moments of incredible tenderness, where the notes were so soft they almost disappeared. There were moments of thundering power, where Elena's whole body moved with the force of the music. In the audience, Rosa sat with tears streaming down her face. She watched her daughter on that stage, commanding that enormous piano, creating something beautiful and powerful. All the years of sacrifice, all the exhaustion, all the struggle. It was all worth it for this moment. Mr. Chen sat with his eyes closed, a smile on his face. This was why he had become a teacher. To help young talents like Elena blossom and shine, Mrs. Blackwood watched with amazement. She glanced at Victoria and saw her daughter was crying too, moved by the performance. Victoria could not believe this was the same girl she had mocked just weeks ago. This was not the maid's daughter. This was an artist, a real, true artist, the piece built to its conclusion. Elena played the final triumphant chords. The last notes rang out through the concert hall and then faded into silence. For a moment there was nothing. Complete silence. Elena sat at the piano, her hand still on the keys, breathing hard. And then the applause started. It started as a few claps, and then grew and grew until it was thunderous. People were standing up. They were cheering. Some were even shouting "Brava!" Elena stood and bowed, overwhelmed by the response. She looked out into the audience and tried to find her mother. She could not see her in the bright lights, but she knew Rosa was out there. That was all that mattered. As Elena walked off the stage, the other contestants looked at her with new respect. Some of them looked worried. They knew that performance was going to be hard to beat. The competition continued. The remaining 6 contestants performed. They were all good, but Elena's performance had set a standard that was difficult to match. Finally, at 5:30, all 20 contestants had performed. Now came the hard part, waiting for the judges to make their decision. The contestants and their families waited in a reception area. There was food and drinks, but Elena could not eat anything. She was too nervous. Rosa held her hand the whole time. At 6 o'clock exactly, everyone was called back into the concert hall. All 20 contestants sat in the front row. Their families sat behind them. The audience had mostly stayed, wanting to see who would win. The head judge, a famous pianist named Maestro Giovanni Rossi, walked onto the stage. He was an older man with white hair and a kind face. "Thank you all for waiting," he said into the microphone. This was an exceptionally difficult decision. We had 20 talented young pianists, and any one of them would be a worthy winner. However, we can only choose one. Elena felt like she might throw up. Rosa squeezed her hand tighter. "Before I announce the winner," Maestro Rossi continued, "I want to say something. Music is not just about technical skill. It is not just about playing the right notes. It is about conveying emotion. It is about making people feel something." Today, one performance stood out. Not because it was technically perfect, though it was excellent, but because it had something extra. It had heart. It had soul. It made us believe that music truly matters. He paused and looked down at a paper in his hand. The winner of this year's Metropolitan Youth Piano Competition is contestant number 14, Elena Martinez. For a moment, Elena could not process what she had heard. Did he say her name? Did she really win? Then Rosa was hugging her and crying. Mr. Chen was laughing and clapping. Mrs. Blackwood and Victoria were cheering from a few rows back. Elena stood up on shaky legs. She walked to the stage in a daze. Maestro Rossi shook her hand and gave her a trophy. Photographers took pictures. The audience applauded again. "Elena," Maestro Rossi said quietly so only she could hear. "That was one of the most moving performances I have heard from a young pianist in 20 years. You have a great future ahead of you." "Thank you, sir," Elena managed to say. After the ceremony, people crowded around Elena. Other contestants congratulated her, though some looked disappointed. Audience members wanted to shake her hand. Local music teachers wanted to know who her instructor was. 3 weeks passed. 3 long weeks where Elena checked her email every single day, sometimes 10 times a day. 3 weeks of going to school, practicing piano, doing homework, and trying to act normal around her mother. 3 weeks of carrying the secret like a stone in her pocket. Rosa had noticed something was different with Elena. "You seem distracted, mija," she said one evening. "Is everything okay at school?" "Everything is fine, Mama," Elena lied. Just tired, but Elena was not just tired. She was anxious. What if they rejected her audition? What if they thought she was not good enough? What if she had gone behind her mother's back for nothing? Mr. Chen had noticed the change, too. During one of their lessons, he stopped her in the middle of a piece. "Elena, your mind is somewhere else. Where is your focus?" Elena could not tell him about the competition. She could not tell anyone, so she just apologized and tried to play better. Victoria had been different since the day they filmed the audition. She still hung out with her friends, but she was not as loud and mean as before. Sometimes in school, when they passed each other in the halls, Victoria would give Elena a small nod. Not a smile exactly, but not the cold ignore of before either. One day at school, Elena was at her locker when Victoria approached her. Elena tensed, expecting something bad, but Victoria just leaned against the next locker and said, Any news yet? Not yet, Elena said quietly. It has only been 3 weeks. They said 4 weeks. I have been checking your email account every day too, Victoria admitted. Well, not yours. But I set up a reminder on my phone for when 4 weeks is up. Elena looked at her in surprise. Why? Victoria shrugged, looking uncomfortable. I do not know. I guess I want to know if you get in. I have been thinking about that day a lot. About how you played, and about how I acted before that. It is okay, Elena said. No, it is not okay, Victoria said firmly. I was horrible to you. My friends and I made fun of you for no reason except that we are spoiled brats who think we are better than everyone. But we are not better. You are better, at least at the things that actually matter. Elena did not know what to say. This was not the Victoria she thought she knew. Thank you for helping me that day, Elena said finally. I could not have done it without you and your mother. I hope you get in, Victoria said. I really do. Then she walked away before Elena could respond. On the morning of the 28th day, Elena woke up and checked her email before even getting out of bed. Her hands shook as she opened the app. There were 3 new emails. One was spam about a shoe sale. One was from school about an upcoming field trip. And one was from the Metropolitan Youth Piano Competition. Elena's heart stopped. She could not breathe. She stared at the email for a full minute before she could make herself click on it. The subject line read, Metropolitan Youth Piano Competition Results. Elena closed her eyes and said a little prayer. Then she opened the email. Dear Elena Martinez, congratulations. We are pleased to inform you that you have been selected as one of 20 finalists for the Metropolitan Youth Piano Competition. Your audition video demonstrated exceptional technical skill, musicality, and emotional depth. We were particularly impressed by your interpretation of Rachmaninoff's Piano Concerto No. 2. Elena had to stop reading because tears were blurring her vision. She wiped her eyes and continued. The final competition will be held on Saturday, December 14th at the Metropolitan Concert Hall. All finalists will perform one piece of their choosing in front of a panel of judges and a live audience. The competition begins at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Please arrive by noon for registration and sound check. The winner will be announced at 6 o'clock in the evening and will receive a full scholarship to the Hartwell Summer Music Conservatory, as well as the opportunity to perform with the City Philharmonic Orchestra. We look forward to seeing you at the competition. Congratulations again on this achievement. Elena read the email 3 more times to make sure it was real. Then she jumped out of bed and ran to her mother's room. Rosa was still sleeping, exhausted from her night shift. Mama! Mama, wake up! Elena shook her mother's shoulder. Rosa woke up confused and worried. What is wrong? Are you okay? I got in? Mama, I got into the competition. Rosa sat up, still half asleep. What competition? Elena, what are you talking about? And then Elena had to tell her everything. About the Metropolitan Youth Piano Competition. About going to the Blackwood Mansion to ask for help. About Mrs. Blackwood and Victoria helping her film the audition video. About the $500 entry fee. All of it came pouring out. Rosa's face went through many emotions as Elena talked. Surprise, confusion, hurt, anger, and finally something that might have been understanding. When Elena finished, Rosa was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, You went behind my back. I know, Mama, I am sorry. But the deadline was that same day and I had to try. I had to take the chance. I told Mrs. Blackwood no, Rosa said. I specifically told her I did not want her help. And she helped you anyway. She did not want to at first, Elena said, but I begged her. And Victoria convinced her. Mama, they were trying to help me. They saw how much this meant to me. And how much did it cost? The entry fee? Elena hesitated. $500, Rosa closed her eyes. $500. From the people I work for. Elena, do you know how that makes me feel? Like I cannot provide for my own daughter. Like I am a failure as a mother. You are not a failure, Elena cried. You are the best mother in the world. You work 2 jobs for me. You sacrifice everything. But Mama, this was one thing I could not ask you for. Not when you are already working so hard. You should have told me about the competition. We could have figured something out together. How, Mama? How could we have figured it out? We do not have that kind of money. And the deadline was that same day. Rosa got out of bed and went to the small kitchen. She poured herself a glass of water and stood looking out the tiny window. Elena followed her, feeling scared and guilty and excited all at the same time. I am angry with you, Rosa said finally, for lying to me, for going behind my back. That was not right, Elena. I know, Mama. I am so sorry. But I am also proud of you. Rosa continued, turning to look at her daughter, for being brave enough to ask for help, for taking the chance, and for getting accepted. 20 finalists out of how many applicants? The email did not say. But Mr. Chen told me hundreds of people apply every year. Rosa's face softened. My daughter, one of 20 finalists. That is incredible, mija. Elena ran to her mother and hugged her tightly. Does this mean you are not too mad at me? I am still mad, Rosa said, but she was hugging Elena back. But I am more proud than mad. And Elena, you have to promise me something. No more secrets. No more going behind my back. We are a team, you and me. We face things together, okay? Okay, Mama, I promise. They stood there holding each other for a while. Then Rosa said, when is the competition? December 14th. In 3 weeks. Then we have a lot of work to do. You need to practice. You need to be perfect. I will practice every day. Extra hours. I will make you proud, Mama. You already make me proud, Rosa said, kissing the top of Elena's head. That day at work, Rosa confronted Mrs. Blackwood. It was not a loud confrontation, but it was firm. Rosa found Mrs. Blackwood in her home office and knocked on the door. Rosa, come in, Mrs. Blackwood said. She looked nervous. She had been expecting this conversation since Elena submitted the audition. Elena told me what happened, Rosa said without preamble. About the competition. About you helping her. I'm sorry I went against your wishes, Mrs. Blackwood said. But Rosa, that girl has too much talent to let pride stand in the way. It is not about pride, Rosa said, her voice shaking slightly. It is about dignity. It is about being able to provide for my child. When you help her without my knowledge, it makes me feel like I am not good enough as a mother. That was never my intention, Mrs. Blackwood said. I was just trying to give a talented young person an opportunity. I know your intentions were good, Rosa said. But intentions do not change how it makes me feel. However, what is done is done. Elena got accepted to the competition. She is one of 20 finalists. Mrs. Blackwood's face lit up. She got in? That is wonderful. Rosa, that is amazing. Yes, it is amazing. And now I need to ask you something. The $500 you paid. I want to pay you back. It will take me time, but I will pay back every cent. Rosa, no, that is not necessary. Consider it a gift. I do not want it to be a gift. I want to pay you back. Please let me do this. Let me have my dignity. Mrs. Blackwood looked at Rosa for a long moment. Then she nodded. Okay, if that is what you need, then okay. But there is no rush. Take as long as you need. Thank you, Rosa said. And thank you for helping my daughter. Even though I am upset about how it happened, I am grateful that Elena had someone who believed in her enough to help. After Rosa left, Mrs. Blackwood sat at her desk, thinking. She realized something. She had everything. Money, a beautiful house, expensive things. But Rosa had something more valuable. She had a daughter who was talented and hardworking and grateful, a daughter who appreciated everything Rosa did for her. Mrs. Blackwood looked at a photo of Victoria on her desk and wondered if Victoria would ever appreciate her sacrifices the way Elena appreciated Rosa's. The days after the competition were like a dream. Elena's name was in the local newspaper. The story was simple but powerful. Daughter of housekeeper wins prestigious piano competition. The article included a photo of Elena at the piano, her face full of concentration and passion. At school, suddenly everyone knew who Elena was. Kids who had never spoken to her before wanted to talk to her. Teachers congratulated her. Even the principal called her into his office to shake her hand and tell her she was making Lincoln High proud. But not everything changed in good ways. Some students were jealous. Elena heard whispers in the hallways. She only won because they felt sorry for her. Bet the judges wanted to look good by picking the poor girl. I heard her mom cleans houses for rich people. The comments stung, but Elena tried to ignore them. She knew the truth. She had won because she was good, because she had worked harder than anyone. The judges did not care who her mother was or where she came from. They only cared about the music. Maria, her best friend, was genuinely happy for her. This is so amazing, Maria said. You are like famous now, and you might go to that fancy boarding school. Elena, your life is about to totally change. I have not decided about the boarding school yet, Elena said. It would mean leaving my mom, but it is a full scholarship. Room and board. Do you know how much schools like that usually cost? Like $50,000 a year or something crazy. Elena knew. She had looked it up. Hartwell Academy cost $60,000 per year for tuition, room, and board. For 2 years of high school, that was $120,000. An impossible amount of money for someone like her. But with the scholarship, it was free. Completely free. Still, leaving her mother felt wrong. Rosa had sacrificed everything for Elena. How could Elena just leave her alone in that tiny apartment? Elena talked to Mr. Chen about it during their next lesson. They were back at the church at the old piano that had been Elena's first teacher in many ways. Mr. Chen, what should I do? Elena asked. About the boarding school offer? Mr. Chen sat on the piano bench beside her. His old hands rested on his lap, wrinkled and spotted with age. These were hands that had once played in concert halls all over the world. Elena, let me tell you a story, he said. When I was young, younger than you, I had a chance to study in Moscow with a great teacher. But it would mean leaving my family in China. My parents had very little money. They worked hard to give me lessons. I felt guilty about leaving them. What did you do? Elena asked. My father said something to me that I never forgot. He said, a bird is not meant to stay in the nest forever. We raise our children to fly, not to keep them close. Elena, your mother has been preparing you to fly. She knows this. That is why she worked 2 jobs. That is why she sacrificed her sleep, her health, everything. Not so you would stay in that small apartment with her, but so you could go out into the world and become everything you are meant to be. But what if she needs me? She will always need you. And you will always need her. But need does not mean you must be in the same place. You can still call her every day, visit on breaks, share your life with her. And Elena, think about what it would mean for your mother to see you succeed at Hartwell Academy, to see you go on to Juilliard or another great music school, to see you become a professional pianist. That would be the greatest gift you could give her. That would make all her sacrifices worth it. Elena felt tears on her cheeks. She knew Mr. Chen was right. But it was still hard. Did you go to Moscow? Elena asked. When you were young? Mr. Chen smiled. Yes, I studied there for 4 years. It was the best decision I ever made. And when I came home, I was able to support my parents. I was able to give them a better life because I had taken that opportunity. Elena nodded slowly. I think I know what I have to do. That evening, Elena talked to her mother. They sat at the small kitchen table with cups of tea, the same way they had hundreds of times before. Mama, I want to accept the offer from Hartwell Academy, Elena said. Rosa was quiet for a moment. Then she reached across the table and took Elena's hand. I hoped you would say that. You did? Of course. Elena, this is what I have been working for all these years, to give you opportunities, to help you reach your potential. If you stayed here just because of me, I would feel like I had failed. You could never fail, Mama. You are the best mother in the world. Then let me be a good mother by supporting your dreams. Say yes to the school, Mija. Go learn from the best teachers. Play on the best pianos. Become the pianist you are meant to be. But what about you? You will be alone, Rosa smiled. I will not be alone. I have friends at church. I have my work, and I will have you, calling me every week, telling me about your classes and your performances. Elena, I do not need you sitting next to me to feel close to you. I need you to be happy and successful. That is what will make me happy. Elena got up and hugged her mother tightly. I love you so much, Mama. I love you too, Mija. More than anything in this world. The next day, Elena called Dr. Hartwell and accepted the offer. She would start at Hartwell Academy in January, right after the winter break. That gave her 1 month to prepare, to spend time with her mother, and to say goodbye to the life she had always known. Word spread quickly about Elena's acceptance to Hartwell Academy. The local newspaper did another article. Local piano prodigy accepts full scholarship to prestigious music school. Mrs. Blackwood saw the article and called Rosa at work. Rosa, this is wonderful news about Elena. I am so happy for her. Thank you, ma'am, Rosa said. It is a big opportunity. Rosa, I want to do something for Elena, for both of you. I know she will need things for boarding school, clothes, supplies, perhaps a laptop for her studies. Please let me help with those expenses. Not as charity, but as an investment in a talented young person. Rosa was about to say no the same way she always did. But then she thought about what Mr. Chen had said about accepting help. About how refusing help because of pride was not always the right choice. That is very kind of you, ma'am, Rosa said carefully. Elena does need some things. If you would like to help with some of it, I would be grateful. But I want to buy some things myself, too. I want her to know that I am still providing for her. Of course, Mrs. Blackwood said. We can split the expenses. And Rosa, there is something else. I have been thinking. You have worked for us for 12 years. You are always on time, always thorough, always professional, and yet I have never given you a proper raise in all that time. Rosa held her breath. Effective immediately, I'm increasing your salary by 30%, and I want to officially make your position full-time with benefits. Health insurance, paid vacation, everything. Rosa, you deserve this. You have deserved it for years. I am ashamed I did not do it sooner. Rosa could barely speak. Ma'am, I do not know what to say. Thank you. Thank you so much. And one more thing. I want you to quit your night job. You do not need 2 jobs anymore. With this raise, you should be able to manage on one salary. Please, Rosa, you need to take care of your health. You are exhausted all the time. Rosa felt tears on her face. Yes, ma'am. I will quit the night job. Thank you. You have no idea what this means to me. After the call ended, Rosa sat in the Blackwoods' kitchen and cried. After 12 years of working so hard, after 10 years of barely sleeping, finally she could breathe a little easier. Finally, she could have some rest. That evening, Rosa came home to Elena with the news. I got a raise, mija. A big raise, and I am going to quit the night cleaning job. Elena jumped up and hugged her mother. Mama, that is amazing. You can finally sleep. You can finally rest. They danced around the tiny kitchen, laughing and crying at the same time. For the first time in 10 years, Rosa would get a full night's sleep. She would not have to work until midnight and wake up at 5 in the morning. She could take care of herself for once. Mrs. Blackwood is a good woman, Rosa said. I have been too proud to see it sometimes. But she is good. She is, Elena agreed. And so is Victoria. She has really changed, Mama. Victoria had indeed changed. She had broken up with her mean friends, the ones who had laughed at Elena. She had started taking her piano lessons more seriously, practicing more, trying harder. She told her mother, if Elena can work that hard with so little, then I have no excuse not to work hard with everything I have. Mrs. Blackwood had signed Victoria up for volunteer work at a community music program, teaching basic piano to kids from low-income families. Victoria discovered she actually enjoyed teaching. She liked helping younger kids discover music. One Saturday, Elena went to watch Victoria teach at the community center. She saw a different person than the cruel girl from that first night. Victoria was patient with the kids. She encouraged them. She celebrated their small victories. After the class, Victoria and Elena sat on the steps of the community center. I am going to miss you when you go to Hartwell, Victoria said. Really? Elena was surprised. Yeah, I know we did not start off as friends. I was awful to you. But you changed something in me, Elena. You made me realize that I have been wasting my life, wasting my opportunities. I want to be better. I want to work hard like you do. You can do it, Elena said. You are smarter than you think. And kinder, too. On the morning Elena was supposed to leave for Hartwell Academy, Rosa woke up early to make a special breakfast. Pancakes, eggs, Elena's favorite foods. They ate together slowly, not wanting the morning to end. You have everything packed? Rosa asked for the 10th time. Yes, Mama. Everything is ready. And you have your phone charger? And your warm coat? Yes, Mama, I have everything. A car arrived at 8 o'clock to take Elena to the school. It was provided by Hartwell Academy for students who lived far away. The driver loaded Elena's suitcases into the trunk. Rosa stood on the sidewalk outside their building, hugging herself against the cold January wind. Elena hugged her mother one last time. Remember to call me every Sunday, Rosa said. And if you need anything, anything at all, you tell me. I will, Mama, I promise. And remember that I am proud of you. So proud. You are going to do amazing things, mija. I love you, Mama. Thank you for everything, for every sacrifice, for every hour of work, for believing in me. I love you too. Now go. Do not keep them waiting. Elena got in the car. She looked back through the window and saw her mother standing there, waving. Rosa was crying, but she was smiling too. She looked tired but also at peace, like a part of her journey was complete. As the car drove away from the only home Elena had ever known, she felt scared and excited at the same time. She was leaving behind everything familiar, but she was also stepping into a future full of possibility. Hartwell Academy was 2 hours away in a beautiful part of the countryside. The school was set on 50 acres of land with old brick buildings, tree-lined paths, and practice rooms with windows that looked out over gardens. Elena's roommate was a violinist from California named Sophie. She was friendly and welcoming. "Welcome to Hartwell," Sophie said. "You are going to love it here. The teachers are incredible, and we get to practice as much as we want. There are practice rooms open 24 hours a day." Elena's classes started the next day. Music theory, music history, piano performance, and regular academic subjects like math and English. Every class was more advanced than anything at her old school. The teachers expected excellence, but Elena thrived. She practiced for hours every day in the beautiful practice rooms with perfect pianos. She learned from teachers who had played in orchestras and concert halls around the world. She met other students who loved music as much as she did. True to her promise, Elena called her mother every Sunday. She told Rosa about her classes, her performances, her new friends. Rosa always sounded happy to hear from her, though sometimes Elena could hear the loneliness in her voice. "Are you okay, Mama?" Elena would ask. "I am fine, mija. Better than fine. I am sleeping 8 hours every night now. I feel like a new person." In March, Hartwell Academy held a student showcase concert. Family and friends were invited. Elena played Chopin's Ballade No. 1, a piece she had been perfecting with her new teacher. Rosa came to the concert. She took a day off work and rode the bus 2 hours to get there. Mrs. Blackwood and Victoria came too. Even Mr. Chen made the trip, though his arthritis made traveling difficult. When Elena walked onto the stage and saw them all sitting there, her whole support system, she felt overwhelmed with gratitude. She sat at the piano and played not just for the audience but for them. For her mother who had sacrificed everything. For Mr. Chen who had taught her. For Mrs. Blackwood and Victoria who had helped her when she needed it most. The performance was breathtaking. Elena had grown so much in just 3 months. Her technique was sharper. Her interpretation was deeper. She played with confidence and maturity beyond her years. After the concert, Elena's new teacher, Professor Adler, pulled Rosa aside. "Mrs. Martinez, your daughter is exceptional. In my 30 years of teaching, I have rarely seen talent like this. If she continues on this path, she will have her choice of any music conservatory in the world. Juilliard, Curtis, any of them will want her." Rosa felt her heart swell with pride. "Thank you, Professor. She works very hard. Yes, she does. But it is more than hard work. She has something special, a gift, and gifts like that are rare." In May, Elena received news that made her call her mother immediately. "Mama, I got invited to perform with the City Philharmonic Orchestra. In June, it is the prize from the competition. I am going to play with a real orchestra." Rosa screamed with joy on the other end of the phone.
Mija, that is amazing.
"I'm so proud of you." The performance was scheduled for June 15th at the Metropolitan Concert Hall, the same place where Elena had won the competition. She would be playing a concerto with the full orchestra. It would be her first time performing with professional musicians. Elena practiced obsessively for the performance. She worked with the conductor, learned to follow his cues, learned to blend with the orchestra while still showcasing the solo piano part. The day of the performance arrived. The concert hall was packed. Rosa sat in the front row. Next to her were Mr. Chen, Mrs. Blackwood, Victoria, and even some of Elena's teachers and classmates from Hartwell Academy. When Elena walked onto the stage in a beautiful black concert dress, the audience applauded. But the loudest applause came from that front row, where the people who believed in her most sat together. The conductor raised his baton. The orchestra began to play, and then Elena's hands touched the keys and she became part of something bigger than herself. The piano and the orchestra wove together, creating music that filled every corner of the enormous hall. Elena played perfectly. Not just technically perfect, but emotionally perfect. She poured everything into the performance. All her struggles, all her dreams, all her gratitude for everyone who had helped her reach this moment. When the final notes died away, there was a moment of perfect silence. Then the audience exploded into applause. People jumped to their feet. They shouted and cheered. Some cried. The conductor hugged Elena on stage. The orchestra members tapped their bows on their music stands, the traditional way musicians applaud a soloist. Elena bowed again and again. She looked out at the audience and saw her mother standing, tears streaming down her face, clapping until her hands must hurt. Next to Rosa, Mr. Chen was wiping his eyes with a handkerchief. Mrs. Blackwood and Victoria were cheering loudly. As Elena stood on that stage, accepting the applause, she thought about the journey that had brought her here. From that tiny apartment to this magnificent concert hall, from a broken church piano to a Steinway grand with a full orchestra, from being invisible to being seen, truly seen, for who she was and what she could do. After the performance, Elena was surrounded by people. Music critics wanted to interview her. Professional musicians wanted to congratulate her. Representatives from Juilliard, Curtis, and other top conservatories gave her their cards and urged her to apply when the time came. But Elena pushed through the crowd to get to her mother. Rosa was waiting for her, arms open wide. They hugged each other tightly. "You did it, Mija," Rosa said. "You really did it." "We did it, Mama," Elena corrected. "This is as much yours as it is mine." Mr. Chen joined them, moving slowly with his cane. "Elena, that was magnificent. I knew from the first day I met you that you were special. But this exceeded even my highest hopes. Thank you, Mr. Chen, for everything. I would not be here without you." "You would have found your way," Mr. Chen said. "Talent like yours cannot be hidden for long. I just helped guide it." Mrs. Blackwood and Victoria approached more tentatively. "Elena, that was extraordinary," Mrs. Blackwood said. "Truly extraordinary. You should be very proud." "Thank you, Mrs. Blackwood, and thank you for everything you did to help me. I will never forget it." Victoria hugged Elena. "You were amazing up there. Like professional level, I am so glad I got to be a small part of your journey." "You were not a small part," Elena said. "You helped me at a crucial moment. That day you convinced your mom to help me. You changed my life." Later that evening, after all the celebrations were over, Elena and Rosa rode the bus back to their neighborhood. Elena was going to spend the weekend at home before returning to Hartwell for the final weeks of the semester. They sat together on the bus, Elena's head on her mother's shoulder. Both were exhausted but happy. "Mama, can I ask you something?" Elena said. "Of course, Mija. Was it worth it? All those years of working 2 jobs? All that sacrifice? Was it worth it?" Rosa was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "Let me tell you what I thought about tonight watching you on that stage. I thought about the first time I heard you play. You were 5 years old, standing outside the church listening to someone practice inside. You had this look on your face, Elena, like you were seeing something sacred, something that mattered more than anything else in the world. And I knew then that music was not just something you liked. It was part of who you were." Rosa took Elena's hand. "From that moment I knew I would do whatever it took to help you pursue that gift. Because a mother's job is not to keep her children close. It is to help them become who they are meant to be. So yes, every single hour of work, every single night I was exhausted, every single sacrifice, it was worth it. 1,000 times worth it." Elena felt tears streaming down her face. "I love you, Mama. I will spend the rest of my life trying to be worthy of everything you did for me." "You already are worthy, Mija. You already are." They sat in comfortable silence for the rest of the ride home.